And a very good evening to each and every one of you joining me, Miss Belinda Scandal.
Me, Mr. Michael Adams.
And
Izzy Bushell.
how are we all doing? Are we having a nice day?
Yeah, nice to be with you all.
What's on the show today, please, Michael?
Well, I'm chatting with Emma Beecher, who's written and produced a play about Droopy tits.
Fabulous.
It's called The Good Enough Mums Club.
I'm also speaking to a lady called Kate Goodman. I think you might recognise off the telly.
Yes.
Yes, and she's here to talk about 20 years of reserve wines. A story that originated here in Manchester. Who are you speaking to today, sir?
Scott Cunningham, who's created a 100-film scratch poster about LGBTQ community.
And also today, you are going out and about to find out what Christmas means to the people of Greater Manchester, isn't that right?
I am, and I spoke to also an organisation that sell Christmas cards, and all the money goes to charities around Christmas.
Amazing.
Here's how your Wednesday evening with your Manchester is shaping up. Joining me now to talk all about the Good Enough Mums Club. It's Emma Beecher, and I believe you've written and produced this.
Yes, I've been working on the show for about 10 years in various different stages, and now I'm producing the tour that's going out with my co-producer Sarah Sheed. So yeah, really excited to be bringing it back to Manchester.
And I've got to say this, I've read it in the press release. There's a mention of drooping tits.
Yeah, you know, that's a really important part of motherhood, isn't it? And we have a children's song that we have adapted.
All right, which children's song?
Okay, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. We've rechanged into head, shoulders, knees, and boobs.
Amazing.
Lower. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I presume the audience get all involved with that.
They love that one. That is a big moment in Act 2 for sure, where everybody gets involved. So yeah.
So you said this is something that's obviously been 10 years in the making. Are you writing from experience?
Absolutely. I started writing the show. I had terrible postnatal depression and postnatal psychosis when my daughter Maisie was born. And I sort of spent the first year of her life just thinking everyone else had it together, and I was just a really terrible mom. And then when I got my diagnosis, I was so relieved that this was a thing, that when I started talking to other moms, they started confessing all these things to me. And I was a bit like, well, why haven't we ever said these things out loud? So I kind of became this collector of other people's stories, and I knew that I had to do something with them. And so the show was born.
And I mean, I'm not a mother, so I'm not talking from experience, but I do know that there is a lot of pressure on mums in the playground to be as good as each other. And are you doing the best for your child and things? Does it sort of draw on reflections of feeling like that?
Yeah, for sure it does. And I think there's this sort of, Insta culture is a huge part of that. Like, look how amazing my child's life is, and look how together I am. And we all know that, Insta isn't real life. But I think... the overall thing, you don't have to have kids to feel like you're not enough, right? I think we all can recognize that like sense of imposter syndrome, or like, what am I doing here? Like, what? Like, who am I? And I think a lot of the show is about that, about feeling like you're not enough, and how can we change the way that we talk about ourselves and feel about ourselves.
So as well as being a bit of a laugh, a bit of good fun, of course, it's got a serious side to it. And as well, a really nice sort of well-rounded story where you say everybody sort of works together to save the nursery that their kids go to. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so these 5 women go to the same community centre, and these community centres are ubiquitous across the country. Every parent will have taken their kids to one of these. And when it comes under closure, they kind of have to figure out what they're going to do, and what I think it brings into stark reality what that place means for each of them individually. So they need to look at how they can come together, and it kind of brings out different things in each person. So it's been really fun to watch the actors bringing that to life, because they're such immense talents on top of being amazing mums. So yeah, the show kind of covers all of those things, but we do cover some really serious subjects as well. We cover postnatal depression, we cover baby loss, we cover, again, that perfectionism, that pressure to constantly be perfect, as well as some stuff around, class and race that when I've spoken to hundreds of women across the country, that those were the things that came up for them all the time.
Well, it sounds really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. How can people get their hands on tickets? Where you on at and when?
Yes, we are at the Lowry. We actually brought a concert tour there last year, so we're super excited to be back from the 29th of, I'm lying, from the 30th of November to the 2nd of December. And we have a very special child-friendly matinee on Saturday the 2nd. So it's a parent-baby matinee, so you can bring your little ones. The show is a bit sweary, so we do say if your kid is at that.
Oh, it won't harm them. They'll be fine.
If they're repeating, you might want to think about it, but otherwise, we more than welcome kids into the audience for that show.
Well, it's a great venue. Best of luck with it, Emily. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for chatting.
So now I'm joined by Scott Cunningham, who has created this incredible poster that's based on 100 films that are all about the LGBTQ plus community. Nice to meet you, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Izzy. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. Pleasure to have you. So what made you want to create this piece of artwork?
So my pop culture knowledge has always been bad. When people would quote films like "we're going to need a bigger boat" and things like that, it would go right over my head. So I found myself a 100 bucket list film scratch poster. So essentially 100 of the most well-known films. I thought I'll get my way through that. I didn't. But then the lockdowns came and I was sort of like forced to come up with things to do. So I eventually started making my way through it. And it was partway through it, I just thought to myself, we should have one of these, but for LGBT films. As I'm sure you're already aware, representation is quite poor. If you ask anybody about gay films, they'll tell you that they're sad, they're depressing, they're, not very motivational. So I thought, let's not just find 100 LGBT films, let's find the ones with good, positive, trailblazing sort of representation. And here we are, about 400 films later.
And what is it about these films that create this representation? What do they mean to you?
So when I got my spreadsheet out and made a full list, I was looking for as much representation across all the full acronym as I could get, lesbian, gay, bi, trans. There are some groups that are still terribly underrepresented on the screen. So if you happen to be maybe an intersex person or maybe polyamorous, go write some scripts because, we're lacking. But overall, the representation is pretty good. There's lots of gay stories. There's lesbian ones. There's a fair bit of trans rep on there as well, which is great. And to be fair, there is actually one or two films about polyamory too. So it was just getting the best of what little representation we do have.
And why is it so important that this representation reaches a wider audience?
Well, I don't know about you, but growing up, there was never really that sort of representation on the screen for me. I didn't realize I was gay until I was about 18, 19, but you never know, maybe with more inspirational characters on screens, maybe I would have realized sooner. It's nice to see yourself on the screen. It may be fictional stories, it may be documentaries, but just to know that how you feel and how you live, to see it reflected in these sort of storylines too. It's I like to think that it'll just give everyone that self-assurance and self-confidence that, some people may need more than others.
And am I right in saying that part of the donations go to the Iris Prize charity? What does that charity mean to you? Yeah,
that's right. So the Iris Prize, they do several events throughout the year, but their main sort of event is a short film festival. And their purpose is to challenge discrimination on the grounds of sexual and gender identity. And they do that by sharing LGBT stories on screen. So as I was making it, I thought it would be nice to know that someone will be benefiting. 10% donation that goes to the Iris Prize will hopefully help aspiring LGBT filmmakers get their own stories told. Because as much as all of these are feature films, there are some absolutely brilliant short films out there, mostly on YouTube, that don't quite get the same coverage as mainstream films, although not all of these are mainstream, to be fair. So I thought, let's do something that also gives back to the LGBT film community.
And what can we do in our everyday lives as people to challenge discrimination within the LGBTQ community?
So don't be afraid to call it out. If you see it going on, make a stand. support LGBT media where we can, whether that's on the stage. With it being in Manchester, we've always got cracking LGBT related musicals and plays going around. Got about 6 theatres here. Support the sort of channels that present LGBT related news in a positive way. So, you know, less GB news, more Your Manchester. Places like that. Pink News, also a nice source. So yeah, it's just all those little steps that we can take together that have like a bigger impact.
And this type of artwork that you've created, sort of back to that, it's a lot more interactive. It's not just sort of any artwork. It's very interactive. What made you want to make it more interactive? Yes.
So as you can see here, the full poster has been scratched off by me since I did it. A shout out to my illustrator friend Bobby Bates, who did these designs, because he made an absolute bang up job of it. I couldn't have asked for anything more. So when you get the poster, there's grey squares covering every film, and the idea is that once you've watched it, you scratch it off and see what kind of icon is hiding underneath there. I love a list. If I've got something in list form, I've got the motivation to do it, complete it. And I think this is a fun way to kind of go through it. You don't have to do it in any sort of order. You could do it alphabetical, you could do it bottom to top, top to bottom, whatever. But I think it adds an extra little bit of element of fun. With the bucket list poster I was telling you about, me and my flatmate always like to guess, you know, what the icon could be representing each film.
And has this inspired you to create any more artworks that's sort of based on this sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a Pride Month advent calendar. That's a different film for every day in June, representing the fact that Pride is a protest. And I've also got a Halloween film countdown for every day in October. I've managed to find 31 LGBT Halloween films, and there's a Christmas calendar coming too.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining us today, Scott. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
20 years, there has been a wonderful, wonderful winery, as I like to call it, called Reserve Wines. They're celebrating 20 years. Joining us now is Kate Goodman. Welcome to the show, Kate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very good. Yeah, lovely to be here.
It says it began in Manchester. How did it begin in Manchester?
So I am from Manchester. So I lived here, went away for a bit, went to France, fell in love with wine and eating lots of lovely food. And when I came back, I did lots of various things before it, but I wanted to get into wine. I started working in Odd Bins, which you may remember, a brilliant wine store. Fantastic chain. They were amazing and I loved it. And then I went to buy some wine for my friend's dad in a merchant's, a very traditional wine merchant's, and I had a really bad experience and felt really intimidated. And I just thought it shouldn't be like that. So I thought I'm going to create my own space where people can come and just feel really comfortable and have fun tasting, buying, experiencing wine, really.
Now, Reserve Wines, it's got so many different varieties, for want of a better word. Perhaps tell us about how you've gone about choosing the different varieties for your particular brand.
In terms of the wines that we sell?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we do a lot of tasting and we know a lot of our producers. So a lot of people we have relationships with, and we're working with people who are in line with what's important to us, and they're making, they care about what they're doing. They're working hard to produce something that's good quality and it's made in the right way. So I think that's really important to us. And then we try and cover a wide kind of scope of price points and styles, and really it's quite a big job. It's quite a big job, but a good one.
You mentioned that you're celebrating at the moment. This is your 20th year. What are you doing for the celebrations?
So we've got loads of tasting events. Some are free, so people can just come along. So have a look at our website. It's all in the events section. So we've got loads of suppliers coming in supporting, and literally you can just rock up and have a taste. We had a little party at one of our kind of flagship Didsbury store, which was our first site that we opened 20 years ago. And we had some of our, not all unfortunately, but we had some of our brilliant customers, many of whom have literally shopped with us for 20 years. So we had a few drinks with them, and some of the other local businesses who I've known for the whole time as well. So that was great. We've just got loads of events going on. We've got a big wine fair tomorrow evening, so that's in Didsbury. So all based around tasting good wine, which won't surprise
It
you.
sounds like an ideal kind of celebration to have for a lot of people. So where can people find Reserve Wines?
So online, we're online, reservewines.co.uk. We have 5 sites as well in and around Manchester. So West Didsbury, we're in the markets in Altrincham Market, Mackymare in Manchester, Picturedrome in Macclesfield, and then we also have a concession in Bent's Garden and Home, which, if you've never been to, is the Christmas place to go, because it really is like a Christmas paradise. So if you fancy visiting that, we've got a lovely little section in there as well with loads of great gifting and that kind of thing. So
For you, why is it so important for you to get the message across about Reserve Wines?
Well, I think we just still love what we're doing, and we just want to share it with people. We've done it for 20 years, but my passion and kind of commitment to it is just equally as strong, really. And we've got a load of great people who love, like I say, love the products we're selling. Most of the products have a lovely story behind them. We're working with great people. We work with lots of great local businesses as well. And so we just want to share that as much as we can. So I really appreciate, you asking us onto the show, because it's just great to get it out there.
It's all sensational. I'm going to have to sample quite a lot of wine, I feel, over the weekend now.
Well, you know where to come.
Exactly. Kate, so much thank you for your time today. It's been amazing speaking to you.
Oh, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Right, where are we, Miss Belinda Scandal?
We are here, which is more important than where we were when we weren't here.
That's absolutely true. We're at Daisy Nook Garden Centre, bringing you lots of Christmas tips.
Christmas
Tips.
tips.
Yes. So, keep watching every Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
Your
Manchester!
There we go.
Yes, that's right, the festive season is upon us. From the food and presents and time with loved ones. But what is the true meaning of Christmas? First, I wanted to find out from the people of Manchester their thoughts on this very question.
I think the true meaning of Christmas is a time that everyone can get together in terms of having their families around, making sure that we catch up with each other and gift them with our presents, which is something that is very important. Being able to go back home, see all the relatives, see your friends, and have that there is absolutely brilliant, because without that, it's something to give back to the people that you love.
So for me, I'm not really religious, so the religious aspect of Christmas is kind of lost with me. However, I do like the sort of giving and like spending time with family side of it. So I feel like for me, the true meaning of Christmas is more about giving and spending time with family than the actual religious element itself.
Christmas for me is all about family. When you're a bit older, like I am, and your kids have left home, it's about how special it is that they make that trek to come home, spend time together, play some stupid games, watch a few films, and enjoy some lovely food. And just take that time out and be together.
I think what I love the most about Christmas is, to be honest, like all the music and the decorations, like everywhere always looks so pretty at like December time. So I think that's like one of my favourites. And also like I get to go home from uni and see my family, and there's always really nice food at Christmas. Yeah, I always think they're my favourite things about Christmas, and how cosy it is, and how you can always watch like Christmas films in the evenings.
A huge part of the festive season is giving to those in need. Charity Christmas Cards is an organisation that travels across Manchester selling Christmas cards where all the sales go to charities. I spoke to Sheila Hallis to find out how helping others is such a huge part of the meaning of Christmas, and how this whole idea started.
I was in an antique shop in Alderley Edge, and I just happened to say that I couldn't find anywhere that sold charity Christmas cards. And the lady said, well, you can have this shop if you like. I'm moving round the corner. And it just grew. People came, charities came. We've been here 42 years now. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience because we've raised over 6 million. Huge surprise, but wonderful. If we can, we give all the charities a bonus, as well as their 100% that they earn from the sale of their cards. I always think that saying about it's much nicer to give than to receive is very true. It is a religious festival, and a lot of us, of course, will keep that. But it's about giving, not just to family, but if you can buy these sort of Christmas cards that benefit the charities, then you're giving to the charities as well. And the pandemic shut everything down for 2 years. Nobody could run any gift fair or coffee morning or anything like that. We couldn't raise any money, and the charities all need it. It's Kidneys for Life who are staffing the shop today, and they do fantastic work for all those people who desperately need kidneys to keep alive. So if you can buy charity cards, I think that's one of the nicest ways you can give for Christmas.
So there we have it. There are so many things that play such a huge part in this time of year, and why so many people use it as a time to give to others and value those around them.
Well, doesn't that look absolutely fantastic?
Yes, yeah. Can you believe what, ladies, it's the end of the programme?
Well, I cannot believe it at all. It's very, 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 very sad. But we got loads next week.
And our Your Manchester podcast on Sunday.
We have indeed. Not to forget about you. I don't even care. Not to forget, of course, about our wonderful website where you can find all the details and behind the scenes gossip here at Your Manchester, and of course behind the scenes of what's going on here in Greater Manchester. It is all going on. Have you had fun?
I had so much fun, as always.
We've got loads and loads, but in the meantime, thanks to everybody for watching this week's episode of
Your Manchester.